This game originally came out on the PlayStation. I think it was a PS4 this came out on. And then PS4 Pro had like a little bit of an upgrade for those players. Then it came to PC, had even more of an upgrade for PC players, enjoyed the extra texture detail, and I have the complete edition, which includes a few extra things as well. And the port to PC was done really well. I know at first the port to PC was a little rocky. There were a lot of bugs at first, but they did get that ironed out. And the performance was a little iffy, I think, at first, but all that was ironed out over time. And then the PC port turned out to be extremely good. And of course, I'm playing it years later, so it's as complete as it was ever going to get on the PC. And so for me, the experience on the PC was really good. I'm playing it on a GeForce RTX 4090 in 2024. So for me, the experience was smooth. Frame rate was great. Never really had any loading problems. Had a few hitching problems here and there, but that could have just been my PC. I am playing it on an SSD, but still, you never know. It could have been just my computer hitching at those moments. So, but that was very rare that happened. Otherwise, the gameplay was smooth. The experience was real smooth. Performance for me was, like I said, really high, really excellent. I did feel at times that this was an older game. So what I'll say, and what I wanted to say, especially for my review, is when this game was released on the PS4, its graphics were really good for the time. Like, this was an graphically impressive game at the time when this came out on PS4. Now in 2024, it does feel dated. And I can see that. It looks better on the PC than it did on the PS4. But I can tell that the game is dated. At the time, though, it wasn't. I really felt that it had a very high fidelity, and I would say the motion capture and the movements and the physics of the game really felt advanced for the time. But I can tell now in 2024, it's not the most current, and I can see that. But it still holds up really well. I think it still holds up really good. Texture quality is not bad. Movement and physics are not bad. So I just wanted to say, at the time when it came out, yeah, it was top-notch, top of the game. Now it's dated, but I still think it holds up, even though the visuals were some really good visuals in this game. Those long view distances and the way the sunlight would come through and the way you'd get the dynamic lighting through the trees, and the day and night change was really good. It would go from day to night really well. And then we also had change in environment, change in weather. So you would have like be raining or be really windy, and everything was blowing and moving with the wind, the grass and the trees and everything. That weather change in the game was just done really well. So yeah, weather change was good. Day and night change was good. I really enjoyed the graphics. Plays really well on a 4090. Of course, a lot of things do, but this one does. The only thing I think it was missing, which it could have had on the PC version, even at the time, would have been ray tracing. It would have been a very simple ray tracing at the time. It would have been like maybe for just shadows or maybe just ambient occlusion. But I think it would have benefited from a little bit of ray tracing. Put that, obviously maybe not global illumination. That would have been a little too much for that time period. But a little bit on the shadows and the ambient occlusion, like a light ray tracing, that could have amped it up for the PC version, so I would have liked to have seen that. It didn't have that. That was one addition I would have liked to have seen. It does support DLSS, and I didn't need to use it here. But it does have upscaling, but I am running at native 1440p is what I was playing at. But it supports higher resolutions and widescreen. It does have DLSS if you needed that. I didn't need it here, but it does have it, so that's good. But yeah, a little bit of ray tracing, some light ray tracing, I think would have just enhanced the game even more on the PC version. Would have liked to have seen it anyway. But let's talk about the story and the gameplay now. I love this kind of story, this like dystopia future where like it's a forgotten past. Like, it's the far future, and that's just really exciting to me. But we're in a primitive time because humanity has regressed, and we have a forgotten past. And we learn that past through the world. And in fact, there's a lot of remnants of the past civilization. And that is so cool that you discover that. You find these remnants. You find the reasons over time for why things are the way they are. That discovery is just really exciting to me, and I enjoy that. So that exploration, and it's almost like an archaeology type of thing, that discovery of the past, figuring out what happened. I enjoyed that a lot. I really did. So kudos to the game for, making a game like that, because that was just really good. The story is also compelling. We advance to a point where we have AI machines. It makes sense they would build war machines in the future. One mistake that Faro made was making him being able to use biomass to this biomass conversion to where they could self-replicate. That's the problem. If we just made them to where they didn't have that, it probably wouldn't have been such a big issue. But because of the biomass conversion, they were able to continue to replicate, couldn't shut them down, and they just took over and destroyed the environment for humans, the atmosphere, everything. Pretty much kind of a Matrix kind of thing going on. It is actually almost the same storyline to the Matrix, the movies, the Matrix, because it's the same type of thing. The machines, kind of took over the world. Now, in that one, a little bit different since it was humanity that scorched the sky in the Matrix, but in this game, it's kind of the machines, but same kind. You end up in the same way where, like, the atmosphere is destroyed and everything. Now, the way that Elizabeth Sobek brought all that back was real interesting. So, basically, the idea is they saw the end coming. There was no way around it. It was going to happen. So Dr. Elizabeth Sobek said, okay, it's going to happen. So let's reboot Earth. Let's reboot it. Let's make machines that are good and a terraforming system to bring humanity back. And so it terraforms the sky, the land, everything, to remake everything so that humans can repopulate the Earth. And so they did. But that's why they even had a plan to re-educate them, the Apollo program, to re-educate them so that they wouldn't be just tribal like we are now, but they would come back strong and knowledgeable and able to take over the machines. Well, we lost all that because Ted Faro got in his head like, oh, we can't share this knowledge, and destroyed all that. And then the servitors had to release the people back into the lands because they were running out of resources. And then we became tribal over the hundreds of years ago that happened, and developed all of this. So it all makes perfect sense, but it's really cool how it developed. So she had a good plan. It didn't quite go to plan. It failed. Well, failed partially. But in the primary sense of the plan, it worked. Because the terraforming system did take hold, did work, humans came back, they just didn't get all the knowledge from the past, which is unfortunate. Now, however, big question. What sent the signal that disrupted Gaia's subordinate functions in the first place? What did that? Something did that, made them all sentient and branch off on their own. We never learned what that was here. So is that what we are going to learn in Forbidden West? Is that where the next game takes us? I hope so. I want to figure out what that was. We also have the fact that there is the Odyssey that was sent to Far Zenith. What is that? Where did it go? Did it make it there? Did it come back? What was its journey like? That's a big mystery. Maybe again we'll learn that in the next game. So I can see where a continuing story potential is there. And then also, Hades is not completely gone. Yes, we overrode the protocol, we stopped the machines, all of that. They're docile now. I guess they're just turned off, but they still exist. Hades, however, does still exist. Hades is not destroyed. Silence has Hades, and that's dangerous. Silence, more than anything, wants knowledge. So he is willing to probably make a deal with Hades to get that knowledge. And Hades would probably want to be put back into a Horus machine, right? One of those metal devils. Yeah, I bet Silence would do it too. Silence would put him back into one of those just to get the knowledge he wants, because he's very greedy and very selfish in that way. So I have a feeling, I hope it's not true, I have a feeling we may fight a metal devil, a Horus, in the next game. Gosh, I don't want to. But that could be where that's headed. That's bad for everybody. So Hades is still a threat. Sure, we've managed to make the machines docile now, but they could be a threat in the future, 100%. Or Hades could be in the future. So I imagine the next game, Forbidden West, will take us to the west. You know, this is kind of like the not Yellowstone. I think actually the DLC is in Yellowstone. I know that much. That's about all I know about the DLC, is that this part of the map, or in the top right part of the map, when we look at the map, I think this is like Yellowstone area. That's about all I've heard from the DLC. And this is like Colorado, Utah area. So if we go west, I mean, do we go out west? Do we go Nevada? Do we go where Las Vegas was? We go even more west, like California? Forbidden West, right? There's got to be people out there too, because these cradle facilities had people in probably all over the world. So this is where all the tribes come from. So I can imagine there were cradles out there out west also. So we'll probably encounter different kind of tribes out there. That's going to be interesting. It's going to be real interesting. But what's the threat going to be? If we destroyed Hades, taking over all of the machines, then what's the threat? What threat is there left in it? I don't know. Can't wait to find out, though. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I guess at the end there, what I was realizing when Aloy was stabbing the stick into Hades, I was realizing at that moment that that's basically, you know, throughout this whole story, Aloy didn't know who her mother was. Like, who is her mother, right? How did she come out of Allmother's Mountain? Well, we found out she's a clone of Dr. Elizabeth Sobek, so that she could have DNA access to gain access to all the systems. Right, we get that. Now she gets that. So she didn't know that. She learned all of that information. So in a way, her at that moment when she says, I am Elizabeth Sobek, Alpha Prime, that is Aloy realizing and accepting her fate. It is her realizing and accepting she is Elizabeth Sobek. She is an Alpha Prime. That's what she is, who she is. No, she's not the same one, but she is, that's who she is. That's who she was created to be. And so she's accepted her fate now. She realizes who she is and what her role is and what she is here to do. And she has purpose, basically, in summary. She has purpose. That is her purpose. So that's awesome. So that makes her more confident and able to do all the things she has to do in the future. So, anyway, I think that's really cool. I think that's a good summary of Aloy overall. What a great character. Very strong character.